Hey, shalom, family. So today I'm going to do a story time. All right, I got two stories about how God does not play about his children. All right. Story number one is going to be the most recent one that I just found out about. It involves this guy that I used to be kind of cool with through another family. Um, Me and that family, we had a disagreement, but this guy, he had just beat a 10-year case, and he was really trying to learn God. And so I was like, hey man, I understand everything that happened between me and the family, but if you really trying to, know God, bro, like I'll still, kick it with you, can still talk, all that, because he seemed like a genuine cool brother or whatever. Fast forward a little bit, we got a little bit cooler, and my cousin got involved with him doing some transportation. He's a truck driver, so he was moving some freight back and forth, and you know ended up. And this is one of my learning lessons. I allowed him to be an authorized user on my credit, card or whatever, a few years ago. And I remember I was in LA, just doing some like stuff with music, and I remember looking and seeing like it was like my car was like maxed out, and I'm like, that can't be so, because we made an agreement that you would only use whatever you needed for fuel, and that you would pay it back like within that same day or same week. Again, it's been a few years, I don't remember the exact agreement off top, but you were going to pay it back like very soon, but that would be able to help his credit or whatever. My cousin, he does credit, so that's, he was the one that was kind of like spearheading that whole thing. But anyway, yeah, man, I look at my account and there's $3,200 gone, bro. And I was like, oh nah, bro, like, nah, what? And so, called bro, ended up kind of becoming like a whole thing. He had words, I had words for him, and then we had like a property at this time that we were all engaged with in terms of growing the land. It was like 14 acres. And so I got back, and I just locked his stuff up. I was like, yeah, bro, you're not getting none of your stuff until I until I get my money, bro. And like it became a whole thing and everything, and yeah, it was a bad situation. All that just to say, at the end of the day, he owed me $3,200. He owed my cousin $2,600, or a little, maybe even more than that, 28, 30,000, for him doing some like moving the freight. He owed me that money from me allowing him to use my credit. So he had this lawsuit going on with this one guy or whatever. And he was expecting to get some money from that. Anyway, we ended up, that was kind of it. We kind of fell out, and that was that. Like I gave him some of his stuff back, and he paid me my money back, but he never paid my cousin his money back. And we had a mediator, one of our brothers in the faith, and I was like, yo, bro, I don't want to give him this back, bro. If I give him he's going to be in the win. He's not going to pay my cousin, bro. He's not going to pay my cousin. And, he just went ahead. He was like, no, just go ahead. And I was like, fine. All right, cool. And I allowed it to happen. Looking back, I don't think I would have done that now, because it wasn't right. If you're dealing with a snake, you treat a snake accordingly. You don't pick it up from the front. Like, you get a shotgun and you shoot that joint, bro. And so that was my whole thing. It was like, he's a snake. I'm not about to sit here and act like a snake ain't gonna bite me. And so sure enough, he bit me, and my cousin never got paid his money. And then he proceeds to call me about 6 months later. Apparently he had won his lawsuit, And I'm in LA again. He doesn't know my aunt had just passed. But he calls me on some BS, and he's like, yo, hey bro, like she had just passed like that night for real. And he was blowing up my phone, and he was just like, yeah bro, hey. He called me, before I say it, he called me like 3 times. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening. And then the homie that was the intermediary, he's the one that reached out, and he was like, yo, that boy looking for you. I'm like, what does he want? He's like, I don't know. And so I finally answered. He's like, yeah, hey, I got that money from that lawsuit. Yeah, nigga, and I ain't paying your cousin a dime. And I was like, bet, all right, God bless, And so and then it was like his spirit just took over. He was like, man, you so freaking weird, bro. And like he couldn't even help himself. He wanted to get some sort of rise out of me, but he ended up exposing himself. And this is the same brother we baptized. We baptized him within that time that we were, cool or whatever. And the homie told him, he was like, bro, are you sure you want to do this? Because this is going to change a lot. You're going to be under the jurisdiction of the Most High now. And, we're going to, you're allowing the Holy Spirit to come into your life and change you forever. He's like, yeah. He went down in that water, came up with that, And so, he's still dealing with those spirits. All that just to say, I just found out that, bro did like a year in jail, like 6 months after he called me on that BS. So like he did a year in jail, and he got out last year. And like the bro, he like the intermediary that was between us, like he didn't tell me. And I get it, and I'm not tripping, but I was just more so like, dang, I won't wish jail on my worst enemy. Like jail is a different beast, man. Prison, excuse me. I don't wish jail or prison on anybody, And so, yeah, with that whole thing, I was just like, damn, bro, like God really don't play about his people, dog. Like you wrong, me and my cousin, bro. And the guy that told me the whole thing, he was like, yeah, he got that lawsuit, but that money got real tight, got real slow afterwards. Cause when you go to jail, everything gets slow. Business dry up, and stuff just might not be there when you get back out the same way. And that's why I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Especially he has a little girl too, and so it was kind of like, dang, she was like 2 years old, and so yeah, like I definitely wouldn't wish that on him. But all that just to say, God doesn't play by his people, man. You can't be out here doing God's people wrong and expect to get away with it, and go unjudged or unchecked. Like he's gonna get you. That's our Father. Like that's my daddy, bro. Like don't make me go get my daddy, bro. My daddy beat your ass, bro. Straight up. So with that was one. The second one was a little bit further back, and I might have told this story before, talking about how this crooked cop, when I was in the Army, he pulled me over. I was in the wrong because I was speeding. I was going faster than I should have been going in this particular area. A little bit further up this street, it was 55 miles an hour, and that was closer to the base, so I was familiar with it. But downtown, it was 45. And so he ended up catching me speeding. All right, I'll take that. But then it was like 2:30 in the morning. He tried to press me with a DUI. I'm like, bro, I'm not drunk. Like, I'm good. He was like, okay, had me do all the little tests and everything. Then at the end, he's gonna I had my girlfriend at the time was in the car with me. At the end, he's like, okay, we're gonna do a breathalyzer now. I'm like, bro, I just held my foot out. I just did the whole thing, looking at your finger. I walked in a straight line, came back, I'm fine. Like, bro, I'm literally right here. Do we have to do this breathalyzer? My girlfriend's in the car. I've been up since, freaking 5:30 this morning, doing PT and all types of other stuff, bro. Like, do we have to do this? It's like, no, you don't have to do it. I'm like, all right, cool. Thank you, bro. Like, put your hands behind your back. You under arrest. I'm like, bro, what? Hey. He like, hey, you better not resist. Like, you better stop resisting, bro. I'm like, I ain't about to get shot out here. So yeah, he put me in the back of the squad car, and and bruh's like, hey, so now he's like, yeah, do you want to take the blood test? And I'm like, take the blood test? I thought you said I already refused the freaking breathalyzer test. Like, if I take the blood test, can I go home? He was like, nah, bro, you going to jail tonight, bro. You going to jail tonight. I was like, F your blood test, bro. Like, what? Like, what? Come on, bro. You taking me to jail, bro? Nah, I ain't doing your blood test. Take me to jail, bro. Come on, let's get it over with. He's like, all right, cool. So that ended up, kind of pivoting. I won't say derailing. Pivoting my military career, in which I thought I was about to go active duty. I was number one in my class at the time. Man, my PT score was like 307. It was 307. I just took it earlier that week, like that Tuesday. And then, yeah, bro, like I was getting ready to go Ranger, all that. Like, I was about to get out of here. And God was like, no, because he, being daddy, saw the bigger picture. COVID was coming next year. I couldn't have seen that. Nobody could have seen COVID coming. And he knew his son, me, was not about to take no vaccine. But being in the Army, I had a lot of people hit me up like, right, bro, like, I don't want to take this. Like, but I'm active duty. I'm doing it. And I'm like, dang, like, this is what God protected me from. Like, I didn't have to take that. I got a work from home position, remote. Like, I didn't have to deal with that. Like, I kind of got a fast pass through COVID. All praise the Most High. But anyway, went through that whole thing just to find out a few years later, because cases kind of got pended. Like, it was kind of like postponed because of COVID. So that case didn't get brought up to like 3 years later. And 3 years later was 2022. Went back to court, and but my older places at the time, she looked up his name, and his name, Officer Michael McDonald, bro. And I don't care. I'll say your name, bro, because you're a demon, bro, for that. That joint was some demonic activity, bro. That boy, Michael McDonald from Richmond County in Augusta, Georgia, bro. Nah, like, I don't know you. And then I saw you after I got out of jail that next night, bro. And you walked in that restaurant, bro, and you looked me dead in my eye, bro. And I looked you dead in your eye like, you mother, like, yo, not me get out of jail. I get out and literally run into the same cop that arrested me and got me going through all this, right? Like 2 days before. Anyway, all that said, bro, Michael McDonald got arrested for literally speeding in a DUI up in like North Carolina, bro. And he had to turn his badge in, bro. He got it promoted to detective or something, and he got caught speeding, bro. And I was like, dang, bro. My older place said she pulled it up on the internet. There's an article, and she was like, is this your guy? And she showed me I'm like, yeah, that's him. That's him. Like, yeah, nah, he had to turn that badge in, like, suspended, whatever, leave without pay, with all that. But those are my two stories for the day about how, the Father does not play about his children, man. And that's why, like, you know, I couldn't be one of those ones out here just deceiving the people, man, trying to steal from the people. You're a different type of individual to be trying to deceive YAH's people, dog. You know, somebody that is coming into this walk and you trying to deceive them, bro, like you're definitely a wolf in sheep's clothing, bro. You know, but yeah, all that just to say, man, you know, keep your head up. If it's anything that you're going through right now that you might not understand, you know, it looks real bleak or it looks real like, dang, why has he got me going through this? Just understand, bro, like at the end, it might not look the same as it did right now in the beginning. You know, when I got arrested, bro, you know, like, they humiliated me in front of my entire class, bro. Like, it was not like a low-key thing. It was very much so I was the, you know, I was the one that they used, bro, you know, to, like, make a point off of. So, and that felt really shitty, you know. But, you know, see how everything happened in the end. But okay, that's it. All praise to the Most High. This concludes story time with Rocky for today. All right. Shalom. See y'all on Judgment Day.